Alright, in this video we are going to be actually adding the buttons to the panel to our game. And so you can see, even though there's flicker here that is, again, having to do with the screen recording, you can see that there are two buttons. The game is paused currently, but if we click one, it'll actually start. And if the game is over, they'll pop back up and we can click them and it'll reset the game. So we'll be very close to a finished game after this. Not quite. There'll be a couple more videos. So we're going to be working entirely in the game panel. This is video 9. So go up to the top of your game panel. Now let's think through what we're trying to do. We're trying to get two buttons added to the game panel. And those two buttons look different, so we know we need to use both constructors. And we're trying to make them clickable, and we're trying to do things when they're clicked. So we need to declare three different things in the fields. We need to declare two buttons, variant button, classic button, whatever, you can call those whatever you want. And then you also need a new boolean called game over, because we're going to have the loop, the main game loop, run over and over even if the game isn't currently being played. So we just need to know if the state of that loop is that the game is on or off, basically. Then in the init method, once you have that done, you need to initialize those three different things right here. It says to do video 9, initialize the two buttons, and I want you to use the different constructors from the button class, one for each button, and then initialize the game over boolean to a value of true, because when the program starts the game is not being played. After you do that, we're going to come down here and we're going to draw the buttons. So edit draw buttons, and in the draw buttons method, just call button1.draw, button2.draw, and so draw the buttons there. Then when you are done, we want to only draw the buttons in create image in memory if the value of game over is true. So if the game is not currently being played by the player, we want the buttons to be on screen. And then we want them to go away if the game starts. So only draw the buttons in create image in memory if the value of the boolean game over is set to true. Then we want to go down and edit a little bit more complicated one. Under the mouse listener, my mouse listener class, which is again a private class of objects just being used by our panel. And again, if people know more about programming, you'll know that you don't have to do this declaration of a class. You can do it anonymously, but we haven't gotten into that, and we're not going to, so frankly, I don't care. This is a perfectly legitimate way to do this, although once you get used to it, there are more efficient ways. So we're going to, in this mouse press, now imagine, so the mouse gets pressed. Well, if game over is false, game over is true if the game is over, we want to send the mouse pressed information to the button classes to see if they, in fact, got clicked. So, video 9, implement this method. If the value of game over is set to true, so the game is not currently being played, then it should execute all the code. It should check to see if each button is clicked, and remember, in button, you have a method called isClicked, and you send it a mouse X and a mouse Y. So it should check to see if the buttons are clicked. And in this case, we're just going to do a generic thing. We're going to set game over to false, so we want the game to start. We're going to set the snake object and the HUD object to a new, clean version of them. So we're going to reset the snake and HUD object. You don't have to create new ones. You can just say the snake equals new snake, the HUD equals new HUD. And then remember, if you are wondering how you figure out the mouse's X and Y positions when this mouse listener hears a click, you can just use E, this mouse event.getX, and E.getY. After all that's done, the final thing to do is to only update the other entities on the screen if the value of game over is false. Right? If the game is being played. If it is not true that the game is over. Then you want to update the entities, because we want them to be still on the screen and not update themselves unless the player is playing. And so once you do that, you should have something that looks very much like this. Variant 1, you click it, and you can play the game and it's over, and the buttons pop back up, and classic. Now the variants don't do anything yet, that's going to be in a later video. in the next video actually. But that is all for this video.